Baby, do you know what's strange? Most people are afraid of silence. They turn on music, they scroll through their phones, they look for distractions, anything to avoid being alone with their thoughts. But with you, silence feels different. With you, even silence feels beautiful. Tonight, I was sitting alone thinking about us, and suddenly I remembered something. Some of my favorite memories with you weren't the moments when we talked the most. They were the moments when we didn't need words at all. The moments where your presence alone was enough. And honestly, that's when I realized how deeply I love you. Because real love isn't always found in long conversations. Sometimes it's found in comfortable silence. Baby, the world is loud. People talk constantly. Everyone is trying to be heard. But somehow, when I'm with you, the noise disappears, the worries fade, the stress becomes smaller, and my heart finally feels calm. Honestly, you became the peace I never knew I needed. Sometimes I imagine us sitting together late at night. No phones, no distractions, no pressure to say anything. Just you and me, watching the stars, listening to the wind, sharing a silence that feels warmer than a thousand conversations. And honestly, that sounds perfect to me because when two hearts truly understand each other, words become less important. Baby, I don't need grand promises from you. I don't need perfect speeches. I don't need endless explanations. Sometimes all I need is your presence, your smile, the comfort of knowing you're there. And honestly, that alone makes my heart happy. Tonight, as I think about you, I realize something beautiful. Love isn't measured by how much two people talk, it's measured by how peaceful they feel together. And baby, with you, even the quiet moments feel magical. Even silence feels like a love song. Even the simplest moments become memories I never want to forget. Because somehow you turned ordinary moments into the most beautiful part of my life. Baby, after thinking about all those quiet moments with you, I realized something that made me smile. The happiest memories I have aren't always the loud ones. They aren't the exciting conversations. They aren't the big moments. They're the simple moments, the peaceful moments, the moments where nothing special was happening, yet everything felt special because you were there. Honestly, before you, I never understood how powerful someone's presence could be. I thought love was about words, about messages, about hearing I love you. But then you came into my life and suddenly I learned something beautiful. Sometimes love speaks loudest when nobody says a word. Baby, there were moments when we sat quietly together, moments where neither of us knew what to say. Yet somehow those moments felt complete. There was no awkwardness, no pressure, no need to impress each other, just comfort, just peace, just two hearts enjoying each other's presence. And honestly, that feeling is rare, very rare. Tonight, as I sit here thinking about you, I realize how much comfort you brought into my life. Not because you solved all my problems, not because life became perfect, but because you made difficult days easier to carry. Your existence alone made the world feel a little softer, a little brighter, a little more beautiful. Baby, do you know what my favorite kind of love is? The kind where two people don't need constant attention to prove their feelings. The kind where silence isn't scary. The kind where simply sitting together feels like home. And honestly, that's exactly how I feel with you. Because when my heart is with you, even the quiet moments feel meaningful, even the stillness feels warm, even silence feels full of love. Tonight, I find myself imagining the future again. A peaceful evening, a quiet home, you sitting beside me, the sound of rain outside the window, no long conversations, no dramatic moments, just you and me sharing a beautiful silence together. And honestly, that sounds like happiness to me because real love isn't always found in exciting moments. Sometimes it's found in the peace two people bring into each other's lives. And baby, you brought peace into mine. Baby, tonight I don't want to talk about grand promises. I don't want to talk about forever. I don't want to talk about perfect love stories. I just want to talk about something simple, something real, something beautiful. You, because the more I think about it, the more I realize that the best thing you ever gave me wasn't excitement. It wasn't butterflies. It wasn't even happiness. It was peace. And honestly, peace is one of the rarest gifts a person can give another heart. Before you, my mind was always full of noise, worries, overthinking, questions about the future. But somehow, whenever I talked to you, everything became quieter. The chaos slowed down, the fear became smaller, and my heart finally felt at home. Baby, do you know why silence feels beautiful with you? Because your presence speaks louder than words ever could. Your kindness speaks, your care speaks, your heart speaks, even when neither of us says anything. And honestly, that's the kind of love people spend their whole lives searching for. Tonight, I found myself imagining a future memory. Years from now, the world moving fast around us, life changing, time passing, but somehow we are sitting together in peaceful silence, watching the sunset, holding hands, not saying much, because we already understand each other. And honestly, that picture makes my heart smile. Because real love isn't about finding someone you can talk to for hours. Real love is finding someone you can sit beside for hours without feeling lonely. And baby, that's exactly what you became for me. A place where my heart feels safe, a place where my soul can rest, a place where silence never feels empty. Tonight, before this story ends, I want to thank you. Thank you for every quiet moment, every peaceful conversation, every time your presence made my heart feel lighter, every time you reminded me that love doesn't have to be loud to be real. Because honestly, some of the most beautiful feelings in life arrive quietly, just like you did, and maybe that's why my heart loves you the way it does. Not because of perfect words, not because of perfect moments, but because somehow you turned silence into comfort, you turned ordinary days into memories. and you turned a restless heart into a peaceful one. So, if there is one final truth I want you to remember, it's this: even if the whole world became silent tomorrow, as long as you were beside me, I would still feel complete. Because, baby, even silence feels beautiful with you. Baby, if this is the final page of my story, then let me tell you something my heart has been feeling for a very long time. Honestly, I never fell in love with you because of the things you said. I never loved you because of perfect moments. I never loved you because you always made me smile. I loved you because of the peace I felt whenever you were near. In a world full of noise, you became my calm. In a world full of confusion, you became my clarity. In a world where people come and go, you became the place my heart wanted to stay. And honestly, that's why loving you feels different. Baby, there were times when we talked for hours, and there were times when we barely spoke at all. But somehow, even during those quiet moments, I never felt alone, because your presence carried a comfort words could never explain, a comfort that reached my soul, a comfort that made me believe everything would be okay. Tonight, as I think about everything we've shared, I realize that my favorite memories aren't the loud ones. They are the simple ones, the peaceful ones, the moments where nothing extraordinary happened. Yet my heart felt completely happy because you were there, and honestly, that was enough. Baby, people often think love is about excitement, about grand gestures, about dramatic confessions, but I learned something different. Real love feels like peace. It feels like coming home after a long journey. It feels like resting after carrying a heavy burden. It feels like finding someone who understands your heart without needing explanations. And honestly, that's exactly what I found in you. Tonight, I don't know what tomorrow will bring. I don't know what destiny has written for us. I don't know where life will take either of us. But I know one thing: no matter how much time passes, I will always be grateful for the way you made my heart feel safe, loved, understood, at peace, because those feelings changed me forever. Baby, if one day you ever doubt your worth, if one day life becomes difficult, if one day you feel alone, please remember this. There was once someone who looked at you and saw something truly beautiful. Not just beauty in your smile, not just beauty in your words, but beauty in your soul. And honestly, that beauty is what my heart fell in love with. So before I say goodbye to this story, let me leave you with one final confession. I don't need perfect days. I don't need endless conversations. I don't need extraordinary moments. As long as you're beside me, even the ordinary becomes special. Even the darkest nights feel lighter, and even silence feels beautiful. Because, baby, you were never just someone I loved. You became the peace my heart never wants to lose. My heart was beginning to care about you more than I expected, but I ignored it, at least in the beginning, because sometimes we don't want to admit what our heart is feeling, especially when those feelings start becoming deeper, stronger, more real. But the heart cannot hide from itself forever. One evening, I remember sitting quietly and thinking about my day. And suddenly I noticed something strange. The happiest part of my entire day had been our conversation. Not work, not friends, not anything else. Just talking to you. That was the moment I asked myself something honestly. Why does this person matter so much, Tom? And slowly the answer started revealing itself, because somewhere along the way my heart had quietly fallen in love with you. Not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply and sincerely. From that moment, everything started feeling different. Your happiness began affecting my own emotions. Your sadness made my heart heavy. Your silence made my day feel empty. And your presence made everything feel brighter. That is when I understood something important. Love is not always fireworks and dramatic moments. Sometimes love is simple, quiet, gentle, just one heart caring deeply for another. But there was one problem, a big one. You didn't know any of this because I never told you. Every time we talked, I kept my feelings hidden. I laughed normally. I joked normally. I behaved like nothing had changed inside my heart. But the truth was completely different. Behind every smile, there was love. Behind every joke, there was affection. Behind every "I'm fine" there was a heart beating faster every time your name appeared in my phone. And slowly, my life started revolving around something simple: you, your messages, your voice, your presence. You became the reason my mornings felt hopeful, the reason my nights felt peaceful, the reason my heart still believed in something beautiful. But life has a strange way of testing the deepest emotions. Because just when I thought my feelings would stay safe inside my heart forever, something happened that made me realize something painful. The person who had become the reason my heart beat was slowly becoming someone I might lose. And that realization scared me more than anything else. Because when someone becomes the center of your emotional world, the thought of losing them feels like losing a piece of your own heart. But I still stayed silent, still smiling, still pretending everything was normal. Because sometimes loving someone means protecting them from emotions they never asked for, even if it means because it tried my best to hide it. But the truth is, every time you talked to me, my day became brighter. Every time you laughed, something inside me felt peaceful. Every time you shared your thoughts with me, I felt honored that you trusted me. And slowly, without realizing it, you became the most important person in my life. But I never told you, because sometimes love begins quietly, without big promises, without dramatic confessions, just simple care, simple attention, simple moments that slowly connect two hearts. And that is exactly how it happened with me. You entered my life like a normal person, just someone I could talk to, just someone who understood me. But day by day, you became much more than that. You became the person my heart waited for, the person my thoughts returned to again and again. The person who knowingly changed my world. But even then, I stayed silent. I kept hiding my feelings behind simple conversations, behind friendly smiles, behind ordinary words, because I was waiting for the right moment, the moment when my heart could finally speak honestly. But life doesn't always give us perfect moments. Sometimes time moves faster than our courage, and sometimes we realize the truth only when it is almost too late. That is why today I decided to do something different, something I have never done before. Instead of hiding my feelings again, I prepared a small surprise, not a big gift, not something expensive, but something honest, something that comes directly from my heart. Because I believe that sometimes a simple surprise can say what words cannot. Sometimes a small gesture can reveal feelings that were hidden for years. And today, that is exactly what I want to do. I want you to understand something. Something I was too afraid to say before. Something that has been quietly living inside my heart. And when you see this surprise, when you finally understand the truth behind it, maybe you will realize something important. Maybe you will finally see what my heart has been trying to say for so long. Because this surprise is not just a surprise, it is the truth I have been hiding. The truth that explains everything, and when you discover it, you will finally understand how much you truly mean to me. When I decided to prepare this surprise, my heart was beating faster than usual. Not because it was something big, not because it was expensive, but because it carried the truth he had been hiding for so long. For days, I kept thinking about how to tell you everything, how to explain the feelings that had quietly lived inside my heart. Words felt too small, messages felt too ordinary, and long explanations felt complicated. Because sometimes the deepest emotions are the hardest to describe. That is why I chose something simple, something honest, something that would speak without needing too many words. You probably remember the small notebook I always carried with me, the one you once asked about jokingly. You asked me, "Why do you always write in that?" And he smiled and said it was nothing important. But the truth was different. That notebook carried many things, my thoughts, my worries, my dreams, and most importantly, moments that involved you. Every time we talked about something meaningful, I wrote it down. Every time you said something that made me day brighter, I wrote it down. Every time you unknowingly made me heart smile, I wrote it down. At first, it was just a habit, just small notes about daily moments. But slowly, those pages started filling with memories connected to you. Your words, your laughter, your kindness, your way of understanding things. Everything about you started becoming a part of that notebook until one day I realized something strange. Almost every page had your name somewhere, and that is when I understood something important. You were no longer just someone I talked to, you had become someone my heart truly cared about. But even after realizing that, I still stayed quiet, because confessing feelings is never easy. Especially when you value someone so much, especially when the fear of losing them is stronger than the courage to speak. But time changes many things. Days passed, moments continued, and my feelings kept growing stronger until finally I understood something. If I kept hiding forever, you might never know the truth. You might never understand how deeply you changed my life. And that thought felt unfair, not to you, but to my heart, because some feelings deserve to be expressed, even if they arrive late, even if the answer is uncertain. And that is when I prepared the surprise. Not a gift, not flowers, not anything that looked dramatic, just something real. I took that notebook and I placed a small note inside the final page. A note that simply said, "Everything written here exists because of you. Every smile in these pages belongs to you. Every memory here reminds me that meeting you changed my life. And if you ever wonder how much you mean to me, just read these pages, because inside that notebook was the story of how my heart slowly fell in love with you, a story written in quiet moments, a story created without you even knowing. And when you finally see it, when you read those pages, when you understand the meaning behind them, you will finally know something I kept hidden for so long. That my feelings were never sudden, they grew slowly, gently, naturally, until one day they became love. And that is the surprise I prepared for you, not to impress you, not to pressure you, but simply to show you the truth. Because sometimes understanding someone's chart requires seeing the journey behind it. And those pages carry the entire journey of my feelings for you. But there is still one more thing I haven't said yet, something even more important than the surprise itself, something my heart has been waiting to confess for a very long time. And maybe this is finally the moment to say it. When the moment finally arrived, my heart was heavier than ever before. Not because I was afraid of you, but because I was afraid of the truth that had lived inside my heart for so long. I held that notebook in my hands for a long time, looking at it quietly, thinking about every page inside it, every memory, every word, every moment connected to you. And suddenly I realized something strange. This notebook wasn't just paper anymore. It had become a piece of my heart, a silent witness to everything I felt, and now I was about to show it to you. When you finally took it from my hands, I tried to stay calm. I tried to smile like always, but inside my heart was beating faster with every second. You looked confused at first. You asked me gently, "What is this?" And for a moment I didn't know what to say, because explaining emotions is never easy, especially emotions that lived silently for such a long time. So I simply said something small. "Just read the last page." You opened the notebook slowly. Your eyes moved across the pages, and I watched quietly, waiting, hoping, feeling every second pass like a long moment. You turned the pages one by one, and I could see your expression slowly changing. Confusion, curiosity, surprise, because every page carried a small memory of you, small moments that you probably didn't even remember, but moments that meant everything to me. The time you helped me when I was struggling, the day you stayed up late talking when I needed someone, the moment you laughed at my stupid joke, the way you encouraged me when I doubted myself. All those little things were written there, because to my heart they were never small, they were everything. And finally you reached the last page, the page with the small note, the one sentence that carried the truth. You read it quietly,